My husband and my elder brother have hated me for 10 years. They firmly believed that I had bullied the delicate girl they both favored. And at my engagement banquet, they exposed my so-called crimes to the world. She's a scumbag who bullied her classmates. In the live-streamed video viewed by the whole network, Isabella Lynn smiled with tears in her eyes. I don't blame her anymore. Looking back, the light boat has already passed thousands of mountains. She became an overnight sensation. However, I was condemned by countless people in extreme fan threw sulfuric acid at me in despair. I perished together with her. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in my senior year of high school. Isabella Lynn was pouring water over her head while smiling at me undasking. Have you thought about how you're going to apologize to me? I lost my temper on the spot. I grabbed her hair and dragged her into the restroom, pushing her face into the toilet bowl. I'll teach you what real bullying is. Your mouth is so dirty, remember to clean it before you go and tattle. The last memory of my previous life was the excruciating pain on the verge of death when concentrated sulfuric acid splashed into my eyes. Enduring the intense pain, with blurred vision, I saw Isabella Lynn, who was protected behind my brother. Then I grabbed a cake knife, rushed towards her, and stabbed it into her chest. Let's go to hell together. When I opened my eyes again, the exceptionally clear scene in front of me made me stunned for a couple of seconds, until I saw Isabella Lynn, who looked much younger, not far away. She was wearing a washed-out school uniform and was turning on the faucet, pouring water over her own head. While doing so, she smiled and asked me, "Yes, will they believe me or you?" I immediately realized what was going on. It was this very day, the beginning of my being labeled as a bully to her in my previous life. Seeing me standing there dumbfounded, Isabella Lynn's smile grew wider. Have you thought about how you're going to apologize to me, young lady? Old grudges and new hatred welled up in my heart. I rushed over, grabbed her hair, and dragged her into the restroom. Amidst her sudden shrill screams, I pressed her entire face into the toilet bowl. Just by pouring some cold water on yourself. You want to frame me? Come on, I'll personally teach you what real bullying is. Isabella Lynn struggled like crazy, flailing her arms as if they were powered by motors, but still couldn't break free from my grip. She could only bury her face in the dirty water and mumble vaguely, "Daria Nolan. Let me go," gurgle. I laughed out loud, looking up at the sky. Your mouth is so dirty, remember to clean it before you go and tattle later? Whether this was a return to the past or an illusion after death, it didn't matter to me. I just went completely crazy. In my previous life, I died on the most glorious day of my life. On that day, I won my third Best Actress award wearing a high-end customized gown. I stood at the grand engagement banquet that was live-streamed across the entire network with my childhood sweetheart and fiancé, Leonardo Black. Then he announced to everyone, I will never get engaged to a scumbag who bullied her classmates in high school. And my eyes filled with disbelief. Isabella Lynn walked out from the audience. With tears in her eyes, she looked up and smiled. Yeah, Aria Nolan. Do you remember me? I'm Isabella Lynn, the one you bullied for 10 years. You probably never imagined that one day I would stand on an equal footing with you. It doesn't matter. I don't blame you anymore. Looking back, the light boat has already passed thousands of mountains. With the live stream across the whole network, she became an instant hit on the spot. Before I could react, a group of reporters arranged by my brother and Leonardo Black rushed in and surrounded me. Ms. Nolan, it's said that you still maintain the habit of bullying newbies on the film set. Someone photographed you going to the gynecology department of the hospital some days ago. Is it because of your promiscuous private life that you got a dirty disease? An extreme fan rushed out from the crowd and threw sulfuric acid at my face, shouting, "Bitch, go to hell." The liquid splashed over, and the overwhelming burning pain stuck to my face. My vision never cleared up again. Remembering the pain of my facial features being dissolved by sulfuric acid in my previous life, I stomped on her face twice more. Then I turned around and left. Under the teaching building, my desk mate, Cecilia Hill, was waiting for me. Physical education class has been going on for a long time. What were you doing upstairs? I said casually. Oh, I bullied a new classmate. She turned her head in shock and exclaimed. What? I said. Luz unsaid that when the whole world thinks you're a girl who bullies others, you might as well really be one. Did Luzon really say that? It doesn't matter. Cecilia Hilland. I walked to the edge of the playground and happened to run into Leonardo Black. He was not in the same class as me at all. The students in the school knew that he was my childhood sweetheart boyfriend. Leonardo Black's gaze swept across my face and landed vaguely behind me. Aria Nolan, why are you so late? By the way, I heard that there's a new transfer student in your class. In my previous life, every time Isabella Lynn smeared me, he would always ask me to apologize to her and let the matter go. He seemed to be on my side. In fact, with just a few words, he confirmed the charge of me being a bully. Thinking of this, I slapped him without any warning. What? Cecilia Hill beside us was shocked again. Leonardo Black's expression remained unchanged. His eyes just turned a little colder for a moment, and then he seemed not to have noticed it at all. He leaned down affectionately and rubbed against my cheek. What's wrong? Aria Nolan? Are you in a bad mood? In my previous life, it was only much later that I learned it. When Leonardo Black was a child, his mother left him in an amusement park, and he was taken in by an orphanage for a while. There, he met a sunny and cheerful little girl. She slept in the same bed as him and gave him a piece of candy. She was the only light in his life. That light was Isabella Lind. Moreover, on the first day she transferred to our school, Leonardo Black recognized her. He always firmly believed in Isabella Lind's words that I had bullied her and hated me to the core. However, because of his status as an illegitimate child, he had to swallow his pride and flatter me. Because he needed to marry into my family to establish a firm foothold in his own family. Thinking of this, I said, let's break up. His pupils suddenly shrank. Why? Give me a reason, Aria Nolan. I took out a tissue and wiped the cheek he had rubbed against, saying, I don't want to date the son of a mistress. I think it's disgusting. Is that reason enough? After leaving, Cecilia Hill asked me cautiously if I was possessed. I wasn't surprised that she asked me that, because in high school, I liked Leonardo Black so openly and passionately. I would wait for him to go home together after school every day. Even though my hands were injured from baking cookies, I would still give them to him with a big smile. My partiality for him was so obvious that the whole world knew about it, but things were different now. The Arian Olin who had just started her senior year of high school was already dead. After one standing here now was the reborn Arian Olin who had experienced death. Isabella Lynn didn't show up for the whole day and knew that what she was most proud of was her face. She wouldn't take action easily if she couldn't make full use of it. I waited patiently. Soon, it was Saturday, my 18th birthday. My parents had said earlier that they would hold a grand dinner party to celebrate my coming of age. However, something urgent came up at the company, and they had to arrive a little late. The crystal lights shone brightly. I wore a high and customized little dress and walked down the spiral staircase to the living room. From a distance, I saw my brother, Theodore Nolan. Dressed in a suit, he called me with a cold expression on his face. Aria Nolan, come here. I walked over. They pretended not to see Leonardo Black with deep eyes behind him and Isabella Lind, who looked like she was about to cry. I smiled sweetly and said, Brother, what do you want me for? Did you prepare a gift for me? Theodore Nolan looked at me coldly for a moment and then said, "Okay, bullying classmates and abusing friends. Ariane Olin, is this what the Nolan family's upbringing teaches?" He didn't lower his voice at all when he spoke. For a moment, all the guests present turned their eyes towards us. "Brother, what are you talking about? I don't understand." I looked at Isabella Lind, tilted my head, and said, "Who did I abuse? And when did I bully my classmates? I don't even know her." "It's too late to be stubborn now. If you do something wrong, you have to pay the price. Since Mom and Dad aren't here today, I'll discipline you on their behalf." As he spoke, Theodore Nolan took a ruler from the antique shelf beside him. Looking at me, he said sternly word by word, "Kneel down." In the large banquet hall, countless people looked over with the intention of watching the drama. "What? Bullying classmates? The daughter of the Nolan family actually did such a thing. Wow. Being pampered and growing up, it's normal that she can't stand others being better than herself. Fortunately, her brother is upholding justice and not showing favoritism." Under Isabella Lynn's proud and provocative gaze, I straightened my back. I smiled and cursed. "Brother, what nonsense are you talking about? Those who know you know you're Theodore Nolan. Those who don't know might think that some ghost from the King dynasty has possessed you. I will only kneel to the deceased ancestors in my life." I tilted my head and looked him up and down, then I laughed wickedly and said, "Well, if you go out and jump off a building now, I'll immediately kneel down and kowtow 3 times to send you off." Theodore Nolan's face suddenly darkened. Isabella Olin spoke hypocritically behind him. "Miss Nolan, I know you don't like me, but even if you bullied me, how could you talk to your own brother like this?" I also widened my eyes and said in distress, "Sorry, I can't understand barking. Could you please repeat that in human language?" "Enough," Theodore Nolan snapped. "Ariane Olin, as a girl, do you even know what shame is? Who taught you to be so foul-mouthed and ill-mannered?" He was still the same as ever no matter what I said. He wouldn't believe me. Instead, he would, driven by strong prejudice, keep pinning me to the pillar of shame time and time again. I tugged at the corner of my lips and sneered, mimicking his expression. "Mom and Dad are busy and have no time for me. Take a guess who taught me. Of course it's you, my dear brother. In my past life, I both feared and adored Theodore Nolan. He was several years older than me and had always been an imposing elder brother in my heart. When I was a child, my parents were occupied with company matters, and it was him who took care of me. The slightest mistake would earn me a spanking on the palm with a ruler and the punishment of not being allowed to eat. Once, when I brought home a curly stray puppy I found, he wouldn't let the nanny open the door for me. It's filthy. We don't want this kind of thing in the house. So I sat on the doorstep with the puppy, feeling utterly helpless, for the whole night. I was young then and always thought that was just his nature, that he couldn't learn the gentle way other brothers doted on their sisters. It wasn't until Isabella Lynn showed up that I realized my brother knew how to be gentle. It was just that I wasn't the one he chose to be gentle with. I saw him shitting in the car, handing a warm glass of milk to Isabella Linden, stroking her hair, saying, "Make sure to have 3 meals on time. If you're short on money, I've got you." I also witnessed Isabella Lind picking up a skinny stray cat on a rainy day, while he held an umbrella for her and asked softly, "Do you want to keep it, hen?" Isabella Lind was drunk and grabbed the hem of his clothes, babbling incoherently. He was impatiently, his eyes brimming with tenderness. In my past life, I was trapped in a web of false love, constantly wondering why my brother didn't love me and why my fiancé didn't stand by me. It was only after being reborn that I finally realized that one can live without love. I am a completely independent individual. The birthday dinner didn't end well, just as I was defiantly confronting Theodore Nolan. My parents finally came back. They courteous Wells thanked the guests and saw them out. Isabella Lind tried to play the victim in front of my mother again, but my mother cut her off with a smile. "Excuse me, young lady, we I'll handle our family affairs ourselves. Please leave now. Isabella Lynn choked up, cast a tearful glance at Theodore Nolan, and then turned to leave. Once it was just me and Theodore Nolan left at home. My father finally spoke with an air of authority. All right, now tell me what's really going on. Before Theodore Nolan could say a word, I interrupted. A while ago, a new transfer student came to our school on her first day. She went crazy and poured water on herself, and then she insisted that I did it and accused me of bullying her later. I found out that she's the poor student my brother has been sponsoring. Isabella Lynn. Theodore Nolan, who was sitting on the sofa, suddenly looked up at me, his eyes filled with shock. Surprised, aren't you, brother? I found out about your little affair with her so early. I pressed my reading dies and said with a choked voice. Actually, I don't blame her. It was just a birthday. I'm just sad that you don't trust me, brother. Isabella Lynn isn't the only one in this world who can act innocent. With my tearful voice, my father made the final decision. All right, no matter who bullied whom, stop causing trouble if this gets out. It'll be bad for both of you. Let's put an end to this matter. Back at school, I started bullying Isabella Lynn openly. I poured ink into her desk drawer, laughed at her loudly when she recited texts in English with an accent, tore her physics desk paper to shreds and scattered them over her head. Go ahead, keep complaining, I said with a smirk. Isn't that what you're best at? In the end, though, she was trembling and crying as she apologized to me. I'm sorry. Miss Lou, if I'd done anything to upset you, I'm sorry. I'll change. Okay? Just your existence upsets me, I said, raising an eyebrow in mock surprise. So, how are you going to change that? Are you going to die right now? She was left speechless, unable to utter a single word, and could only continue crying. They realized for the first time how satisfying it was to be the villainess. Of course, she told the teacher summoned me to the office. I tearfully recounted what had happened at the birthday dinner and finally took out a hospital diagnosis certificate. Just because of her false accusations, my brother humiliated me in front of so many people that day. I cry every time I think about it, and I even wake up from nightmares. I'm still seeing a psychologist and taking medication. The doctor said I'm severely depressed. In the end, the teacher had to comfort me instead. It was obvious to everyone that I disliked Isabella Lynn. Cecilia Hill was puzzled. Why are you so against her? Has she done something really bad? I smiled up at her. Can it be that I'm a bad woman who, because of my family's wealth, looks down on the new classmate from a poor background? Come on. She rolled her eyes at me. If you were that kind of person, why haven't you bullied me? My family is much poorer than hers. The first day we became friends, you bought all my stationery for the 3 years of high school. It's more believable that I'm with Idia Ann than that you're bullying your classmate. I'm not that stupid. Yeah, everyone understood that. But my brother and the person I used to like just didn't get it. I curved the corner of my lips, but there was no hint of a smile in my eyes. A month later was the school's centennial celebration. In my past life, Isabella Lynn, under the arrangement of Theodore Nolan and Leonardo Black, performed a piano solo at the celebration evening. As a result, she was spotted by a special enrollment teacher who attended the event and was granted the only specially approved admission. As for me, I started learning dance at the age of 4 and had been practicing for over a decade. I had also prepared a classical dance routine, but then Leonardo Black came to me. He hugged me on the campus as the sun was setting and whispered, I get jealous when you look so beautiful. Can you not perform? Arya Nolan, I don't want so many people to see you. It was only much later that I found out he was happy because Isabella Lynn's performance had been a huge success. The only light in his life now had a bright future. I submitted the dance program I had prepared, but this time it wasn't a solo. I gathered all the girls in the class who were interested in the performance and arranged a group classical dance. I paid out of my own pocket to hire a teacher. bought the most expensive performance costumes, and customized the best props in comparison. Isabella Lynn's piano solo in a white dress seemed rather plain. I don't know what she told Theodore Nolan in her tears that night. When I got home from school, he stopped me in the garden. "Aria Nolan," my brother said expressionlessly. "Withdraw from the school celebration performance." "I'm not asking." They smiled. "Theodore Nolan, what are you babbling about? Don't think I'm negotiating with you." A cold sneer flashed in Theodore Nolan's eyes. "If you insist on participating, you'll bear the consequences." I stopped and stared into his cold eyes. "Brother, after learning the piano for over a decade, your little innocent girl doesn't even have the confidence to beat me on stage. What a loser." A few days before the school celebration performance, Leonardo Black found me. "Aria Nolan," he said, "I was wrong about what happened last time. But you blocked all my contact information and refused to see me. I don't know what went wrong, Aria Nolan. Do you have a misunderstanding about me? Or have you fallen for someone else?" His voice even carried a hint of pain as he said the last few words. "But you clearly said that you would always love only me the most." A rush of anger and sharp pain welled up inside me. I had truly loved him for many years. He said he didn't like me filming kissing scenes. So I gave up offers from any famous director. She said Isabella Lynn had a tough background and was often bullied in the orphanage. So I forgave her offenses again and again. I just wanted to exchange my sincere love for his. And all I got in return was their slander and hatred that lasted for a decade. At that moment, I didn't even want to pretend anymore. I grabbed Leonardo Black's collar and pushed him hard against the tree trunk behind him. He gasped in pain, and before he could say anything, I slapped him across the face, not holding back at all. His pale face immediately turned red and swollen. I leaned in close and said word by word, "I know that you and Isabella Lynn have known each other for a long time if you like her. Then why are you pretending to be affectionate in front of me? You want to keep me around, use me, and at the same time, grovel at the feet of your little innocent girl you. Ray just as despicable as your mother who knew she was the mistress but still went for it." After saying the last word, the emotions in his eyes swirled like an approaching tempest. But he couldn't utter a single word. I scoffed, released him, and turned to leave. At night, I had a dream, a rare one about what happened after my death in my past life. After the cake knife stabbed into Isabella Lynn's chest, I died in excruciating pain, and she was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Outside the ward, Leonardo Black grabbed Theodore Nolan and demanded, "He said you'd take care of everything and protect her." Theodore Nolan brushed his hand away and said coldly, "I've already agreed to share her with you as a bastard. You couldn't control the Liu family without my help. On push your luck." Leonardo Black staggered back a few steps and retorted, "Did you really help me?" It was clearly. He stopped abruptly in the middle of his sentence. Theodore Nolan sneered. "Yes, it was my sister who helped you. But she's dead now. You were the one who arranged for someone to throw sulfuric acid on her. Have you forgotten?" Leonardo Black stood there in silence. A red light on the emergency room door flashed moments later. Isabella Lynn was wheeled out. The doctor said, "The patient is still in critical condition." Leonardo Black's gaze swept over her pale face, and his eyes flickered. "And," he said calmly, "I haven't forgotten and I've never regretted it." I murmured, "It doesn't matter in this life. You'll regret it. I'll regret ever being born." I said, "Does toilet water taste good?" Then, watching her face change drastically, I turned and left. In the evening, the setting sun painted the sky a fiery red. I and a group of girls from the dance team changed into our performance costumes and, holding up the hems of our skirts, rushed from the dance studio to the backstage of the performance. Halfway there, I realized that the prop for the final bow I had prepared was missing. Had I leave it in the dance studio? I wondered, trying to recall, and decided to go back and look for it. Cecilia Hill asked, Do you want me to go with you? It's okay, it's not heavy. I can manage it myself, I said with a smile. You guys go to the backstage and do your makeup first, and then find the set designer to arrange the order of our props. The huge complex building was empty. I held up my beautiful gold-trimmed skirt and strode up the stairs. But when I was about to reach the floor of the dance studio, I stopped. Just a few steps away on the stairs stood a person. The golden red light of the setting sun streamed in through the window. But it only illuminated half of his face. The other half was shrouded in darkness, and his eyes were as deep as the ocean's abyss. It was Leonardo Black, and he spoke in a low voice, his tone heavy as if holding back a storm. Arya Nolan, what are you up to? None of your business. Get lost. I snapped and tried to step past him and go upstairs. But suddenly, a powerful force grabbed my shoulder. My mind went blank for a second. When I realized what was happening, I felt my body lose balance and I fell backward. Behind me were dozens of steps. I landed on my back and rolled down the stairs. In the midst of the overwhelming pain, I crashed beside the iron railing, and I could almost feel my ankle bone crack slightly. Leonardo Black walked down the stairs step by step and stopped beside me. He still looked at me with those calm yet sorrowful eyes, but his voice was cold when he spoke. Arya Nolan, don't blame me. You've had everything since you were born. Even if you miss this opportunity, you still have many other paths to take. But Isabella Lind is different. She's done the best she can. With that, he grabbed my sprained ankle and slammed my calf against the nearby iron railing. The scene from my dreams suddenly flashed through my mind. He stood outside the ward with my brother, looking at Isabella Lind, who was being wheeled out of the emergency room, with eyes full of tenderness and love. But when he mentioned me, his voice was indifferent. I've never regretted it. The most beautiful 15 years of my life, my most passionate and sincere love, were all tied to such a person. I suddenly laughed just as he was about to slam my calf against the railing. I yanked my leg out of his grasp. You're a loser, I hissed through gritted teeth as the pain from my sprained ankle made me catch my breath. But before Leonardo Black could react, I grabbed his hair and slammed his head against the railing. Despicable wretch, you think you can harm me again? In your dreams? Leonardo Black's head hit the iron railing with a loud thud. Blood immediately welled up where his forehead hit the sharp corner and trickled down his face, dripping onto his clothes. Arya Nolan. I took a couple of deep breaths, released his hair, and stood up. It didn't matter. The pain from my sprained ankle was still throbbing. I looked down at his pain-filled eyes that were losing focus and smiled slowly. So affectionate. My young master, you Ray, willing to sacrifice yourself just to ruin me here and secure a future for your little innocent girl? Is this Theodore Nolan's warning to me? Did you two already decide to share her at this point? It's disgusting. My name suddenly trended on the hot search along with my company. Arya Nolan, the founder of LanXIN, engaged in school bullying. Arya Nolan spread pornographic rumors. Isabella Lind was bullied. The video of me smashing Isabella Lind's piano during the school anniversary performance was released again. This time, however, the part where I played Symphony of Destiny later was cut out. Not only that, they also contacted my classmates from senior year of high school to testify that I had indeed bullied Isabella Lind at school. Yeah, at that time, Arya Nolan really disliked Isabella Lind. She tore up her test papers, poured ink into her desk drawer, and led all the girls in the class to isolate her, the boy in the video said indignantly. But because she was a wealthy heiress, Isabella Lind couldn't do anything about it. He had to endure all the grievances. Later, when the matter got serious, the school expelled her. Then she went abroad to study and polish her resume. Now, she's become the founder of a rising company. The company's stock price dropped for several consecutive days. Several of our partners called and euphemistically asked me what was going on. I knew that if I didn't give them a satisfactory answer, our cooperation would come to an end. Please wait a bit longer. I twirled a pen in my hand and smiled as I stalled with them. We're all businessmen here. We know that without full confidence, we shouldn't act rashly. Fortunately, Isabella Lind wasn't as patient as I thought. She hated me even more than in my past life now. Seeing that my public image was suffering, she took the opportunity to step forward. During a live stream, she brought up this matter. I remember at that time, the teacher asked me to stand up and read the text. Since I went to primary school in the village, one teacher had to teach many subjects, and the English we learned was mute English, meaning poor spoken English. It's a bit embarrassing to say, but when she laughed, it was the first time I realized that my pronunciation was not standard. I also prepared for that school anniversary performance for a long time. I've been learning the piano for so many years. Her tone seemed calm, but at the end, there were airs in the corners of her eyes. Comments on the live stream, either from netizens who were just following the drama or the paid trolls hired by Theodore Nolan, were flooding in. Baby, you're not embarrassing at all, you Ray already amazing. She's so shameless. She should look at her own background. Why does she have the right to laugh at ordinary people who work hard? Wait, am I the only one who noticed that it's contradictory for her to say she studied in a village primary school where there was no English teacher and that she's been learning the piano for more than 10 years? When I saw the last comment, I couldn't help but laugh out loud, but this comment just flashed by and was quickly drowned out in the sea of words. A live stream that day had over 5 million concurrent viewers. The next day, my father called me back and sternly ordered me to merge LANX with the Lu Corporation. After studying abroad for 4 years, you haven't made any progress at all. Just a few days after you came back to the country, you've caused such a mess. Hurry up and hand the company back to the family, and then publicly apologize. I looked at him calmly. Dad, you need to understand that it's my brother's girlfriend who's causing trouble. Not that there's something wrong with my company, but you bullied her first. He slammed his hand on the table and glared at me. If you listen, I might as well have never given birth to you as my daughter. I smiled and said, sorry, you didn't actually give birth to me. It was my mom who carried me and gave birth to me. Soon, the Lu Corporation and the Zhang Corporation announced their cooperation. The two companies joined forces to strike at my company and snatched several large projects from LANX, and my father publicly declared that he would sever the father-daughter relationship with me, saying that he didn't have such a vicious daughter. I was almost splashed with sulfuric acid by Isabella Lind's extreme fans in the company parking lot. Theodore Nolan was also secretly discussing with my father about using the incident of me going crazy in high school and the diagnosis certificate to send me to a mental hospital. In both my past life and this life, they only have such dirty tricks. Well, then my counterattack is about to begin, brother. Seeing that I was losing ground and had no ability to fight back. Just at this time, Isabella Lind won her first Best Actress award in her life, and her birthday was approaching. Theodore Nolan threw a grand celebration party for her. The venue was luxuriously decorated, and many of her fans were invited. There was also a live online broadcast. Isabella Lind, wearing a white little dress, thanked her fans in a gentle voice. The next segment was to play the blessing videos recorded by the fans for her. On the large screen behind her, the images flashed up. They were a bit blurry and taken from a hidden angle, as if someone had secretly filmed them. In the dressing room on the film set, another female celebrity was adjusting her makeup in front of the mirror when Isabella Lind suddenly bumped into her. She grabbed the other woman's hand and slapped herself in the face. Then, in the stunned gaze of that female celebrity, she laughed and said, "Who allowed you to compete with me for the role I want? How dare you make me your supporting actress? Do you know who my boyfriend is? Theodore Nolan, the president of the Lu Corporation. When my boyfriend sees the injury on my face, you better think about how you're going to apologize to me." 10. This comment was liked and became the top comment. Help! She grabbed someone else's hand to hit herself. She really had the nerve to do it. Her face is all swollen. If her face isn't swollen, how can she prove that someone bullied her? Don't call her Isabella Lind anymore, just change her name to Lynch as sarcastic name implying she's a skinny person like a green tea in Chinese slang. If I remember correctly, the original leading actress of the film for which she won the Best Actress award wasn't her, it was another actress who was quite popular before then her nude photos were leaked. And she was sidelined. If she can't get the role during the audition, she resorts to false accusations and spreading pornographic rumors, right? Amid the discussions, another video trended on me. It was recorded at a university abroad, and it was full of foreigners with various hair and eye colors. Kate burst into laughter after a Chinese international student spoke and mimicked her not-so-standard pronunciation. The thin blonde man who took the lead in making fun of her pronounced it clearly and said, "Do you know what this is? This is the standard British accent. Joker." Then I grabbed his collar and punched him in the face. I cursed back in a standard accent. Laugh? What? It's so funny? Do you laugh like this at your father's funeral? The other person flew into a rage and shouted that he wanted to fight me one-on-one. But I punched him back again. I lifted his chin with the tip of my shoe and smiled. Do you know what this is? This is Chinese martial arts. You country bumpkin! The person who posted the video was an ordinary international student. I'm also a girl born in the mountains. I was almost thrown into the stove by my grandmother to be burned as firewood when I was born. Heck, unlike Miss Isabella Lind, there is no piano in our village. And there was no kind sponsor who gave me tens of thousands of yuan for living expenses every month. There was only me, who took almost 30 years to gather the courage to go out and take a look, but was laughed at on the first day of my study abroad. I just can't stand it when someone distorts the truth, and I don't want the person who has helped me to be slandered like this. Netizens in the comments section were chatting away. Am I seeing this right? Is this Aria Nolan who was said by Isabella Lind to have bullied her and laughed at her English pronunciation? Finally, someone said it, which kid from a village learns the piano for more than 10 years. The logic doesn't even hold up, and so many people still believe it. The elder sister is so cool. Sponsor? Isabella Lind's sponsor is none other than Theodore Nolan. Aria Nolan is like evidence of Theodore Nolan hiring someone to commit murder. Not just the attempted murder of Olivia. In order to expand the Lu Corporation and snatch projects, he and my father had secretly done countless shady deals. I had my mother to thank for being able to obtain all these pieces of evidence. The last one was Leonardo Black. He had emotionally manipulated his biological mother for a full 7 years, forcing her to commit suicide in front of his biological father. He used his mother's life in exchange for a chance to enter the Zhong family. I spent a large amount of money to string together the clues from my past life and this life and send all the collected evidence trending on the one by one. Thanks to their previous actions, countless people were already paying attention to the development of this feud since it involved illegal and criminal activities. It immediately caused a huge uproar. Netizens who were following the drama promptly reported it to the police. They didn't even have the chance to suppress the matter. Those who tried to manipulate public opinion will eventually be consumed by it. Are you satisfied with this ending? The day my father and Theodore Nolan were taken away by the police, my mother threw out a divorce agreement. Theodore Nolan couldn't believe it, undrawn at her. Mom, am I not your son? Why do you favor Aria Nolan? I'm your child too. Your father favors you, and I favor your sister. My mother gently sighed, sat down in front of him, and took a sip of black tea. Ends in this world are always fair, aren't they? Several of the projects that the Lu Corporation and the Zhong Corporation snatched from me in their cooperation successively encountered problems. They were charged with an additional crime of economic crime. I took over the severely damaged Lu Corporation and merged it into LanXIN. She was Leonardo Black's half-sister, her parents. Marriage was a business union. When I was a child, I hated that woman very much and thought she had destroyed my family. Later, I realized that if my father hadn't cheated, Leonardo Black wouldn't have been born at all. She picked up the coffee cup. Dying at the hands of her own son is her karma. I contacted her a year ago and reached a cooperation agreement. I would help her drive Leonardo Black out of the Zhang family and let her take full control of the company. The prerequisite was that she had to help me with many resource exchanges in the country, including this public opinion battle. On the a lot of it was Veronica Black's doing. However, I'm curious, how did you guess that his mother's suicide was related to him? I smiled but didn't say anything because in my past life, he did the same thing to me. Before the verdict was announced, I specifically went to the prison to visit these familiar people. The first person I visited was my brother. He stared at me intently. I smiled. Don't look at me like that, brother. I know what you want to ask. I've already experienced being driven out like a stray dog. Once you don't think that in these past few years, I've just been indulging in pleasure and luxury abroad. Do you? During the most tiring period, I could only close my eyes for a short while using fragmented time. Every day besides attending classes and dealing with company matters. I also had to be busy contacting various connections. I searched for evidence of the evil deeds of these three people from the clues in my past life, because their methods were so skillful and ruthless. I believed it wasn't the first time they had done such things. Evil people don't suddenly become evil in front of me in places I couldn't see. There must have been even more darkness they brought. I was right. They resorted to any means and ignored the law. Fortunately, I'm not like him. The second person I visited was Isabella Lind. She had disheveled hair and looked haggard through the glass. Her eyes were filled with hatred, as if she wanted to eat me alive. She could no longer pretend to be the innocent girl. She hysterically asked me why I didn't show the evidence earlier since I had it. Is it interesting to pretend to be weak? Of course, it's interesting. Otherwise, why would you have pretended for so long? I stood up. Of course, it's more interesting to let you think you've already won. I could have revealed these things earlier, but that wouldn't have been enough. I let her think that she had won a complete victory and attained everything. Then, on the eve of the dawn, she had to watch everything crumble before her eyes. This was what I experienced in my past life. This time, it's your turn. The last person I visited was Leonardo Black. Actually, I didn't want to see him at first. Isabella Lind and I were enemies from beginning to end, and I had a blood connection with Theodore Nolan. As for Leonardo Black, after my love for him vanished completely, he had nothing to do with me anymore. But the police told me that Leonardo Black wanted to see me, so, separated by a glass window, I sat face to face with him. He looked at me in silence for a long time. It wasn't until I stood up impatiently and said, "What exactly do you want to see me for? It shouldn't have been like this. The Liu family should have been mine. Then, we should have been engaged," he said in a low voice. I stopped in my tracks and suddenly turned around. He looked at me steadily, and there were unpredictable lights flashing in his dark pupils. I looked at his face. If it weren't for the faint scar on his forehead, for a moment, I almost thought I was looking at the Leonardo Black from my past life coming back to my senses. I just thought it was absurd and ridiculous. Just engaged. Why don't you tell me what happened next? You got everything in the Liu family because of me, and then you joined hands with Theodore Nolan to kill me. But a long time later, I regretted it, he said hoarsely. It's just that you don't know it anymore. I really hope that you could know. It's so absurd. It's so ridiculous. Yes, I'm already dead. So of course I don't know. But even if I knew, so what? Who cares about your regret? I turned around and leaned against the glass and looked at him, saying each word clearly. This time, I'm the winner. And you're the one going to hell, Leonardo Black. This is what you deserve. The winter came early this year when I left. It was already dark outside. Olivia called and said that she would go abroad after the Chinese New Year to start a new experiment at the Research Institute. I said okay and then wished her a smooth journey. After hanging up the phone, there was a message from Cecilia Hill on WeChat, saying that she had already taken a seat at the hot pot restaurant and asked me to come over quickly to pay the bill. I smiled and replied with an okay. Outside the car window, a crescent moon hung high in the sky, illuminating a corner of the thick, inky night sky. After this night passes and the moon sets, my sun will rise again.